Wala. Hmm.
Good afternoon to our viewers. I'm P. Renada. You're watching Rappler Talk. Kakapunta ko lang sa isang press con ng I Am Pilipinas or the Ikaw Muna Pilipinas volunteer group for Manila Mayor Isko Moreno, and they held a press conference announcing their switch of support to Vice President Leni Robredo. And of course, quickly, we also want to get the side of the those who are loyal to Isko Moreno, and we're joined here today by his campaign strategist Lito Banayo, who will speak to us about the developments and really like what their response is to this new development from I Am Pilipinas, now called I Am Lenny. So thank you so much, Ambassador Dito, for joining us today.
Thank you, Pia, for this opportunity. Thank you.
All right. So first things first, Ambassador, no, what is the morale of the Moreno campaign team given the press conference held earlier today by I Am Pilipinas?
Well, the morale is high. There's really no change. We knew about this anyway. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, I think it was a Sunday, March 27. Uh, so 2 weeks ago, on March 27, I had an early lunch with the guys who were in the press conference, or some of them at least, who were in the press conference this morning. Specifically, former Undersecretary Tim Orbos, former ASEC Romela Besamis, and Mr. Elmer Argaño. There were two other guys among them who I will not mention because they have remained with us. And then there was my executive assistant, attorney Gilbert Lawenco. No? So we had an early lunch, I think about 11:30 or so
Mm-hmm.
on Sunday, the 27th. And that was where they intimated to me their call for uh, Isko giving way to Vice President Leni Robredo in a show of unity.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me their reasons. One of them said that he, being a former activist um, from the progressive side, he could not accept a Bongbong Marcos presidency,
Mm-hmm.
and he told him that let's wait for further developments. I am sure that if we continue in this journey, we can make Isco win over Ferdinand Marcos Jr. The other two said that they were approached earlier. Kasi mga taga Central and Northern Luzon ito mga to, na they were approached earlier by officials of the Marcos camp, earlier as in last year pa,
Mm-hmm.
before the filing of the certificates of candidacy, and they were asked to assist in the Marcos campaign, which
Mm-hmm.
they declined because they said they were committed to Isko.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought, they expressed to me at least that they said um, baka sila balikan nung Marcos camp pag nanalo kasi may pagka-vindictive daw ang mga Marcoses. That was exactly what they told me. And I said, hindi naman siguro ganon, no? And instead, I said na, kasi to me, this is an issue of, staying put, since I've already expressed my support for Mayor Isko Moreno early on in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I'm staying put, no, and I hope you guys also stay put. So ganun na nangyari. And then I think March 30 or 31, I'm not too sure about the date. Team Orbos went on to when went on television or in an interview. I'm not very sure now, where he said that he was appealing to all the protagonists in the for president, and sana daw magsama-sama to defeat what looks like Bongbong Marcos presidency. Yon, ang sinabi niya. Hindi naman siya nagsabi na he's supporting VP Lenny. Ang sinabi lang niya is ganon. Although, sa akin, sinabi niya na yung option is to support VP Lenny. And I said that Isko Moreno will not back out. He's staying the course. And I reiterated this in several interviews by media where in one occasion, both Team Orbos and I were present. No? So ganun ang aming stand. We respect them. We respect that this is a democracy. They are free to express their views and we respect that. No? Whatever their reasons may be. Kanya nga lamang, ang lagi naming sinasabi at lagi naming ipinaliliwanag sa taong bayan, hindi kami lumalaban dito because we are pro this or anti this. No, we are not we're not positing ourselves as enemies of one faction, one political faction or another political faction. We are here simply to tell the people that Isko Moreno has solutions to their everyday problems. He has shown prototypes of these solutions to their everyday problems, and he acts quickly and will act quickly the moment he becomes president of this country. So ganon ang
Has
aming paninindigan at tuloy-tuloy yung aming sasabihin na yon.
has Manila Mayor Isko Moreno heard of this development, yung IM Pilipinas switching, and what does he feel about it?
Well, I think he has been apprised about it, and he had an ambush interview before the
Yes.
motorcade in San Pedro, where he said basically na hindi ko kaaway si Marcos, hindi ko rin kaaway si Robredo, ako'y para sa tao lamang.
Okay. So, on the point of view, since you are a political strategist of many elections before, just like speaking as a political strategist, what would you say to? Is it wise at this point for Isko Moreno to withdraw his candidacy given the developments, or do you think it's too early pa rin?
No, it's not. It's neither too early nor too late. He will proceed with the candidacy. He is not giving it up whatsoever. No, that is what I've learned when I've gathered from him when I talked to him about this. And despite all of these happenings, no, because at the same time, there are also groups, even in the north, who used to be with Ferdinand Marcos Jr., who are now switching to Isko. So, ganyan yan eh. Politika is you win some, you lose some. And at the end of the day, it's the people who makes the decisions.
What's the impact of this switching of IM Pilipinas to Lenny Robredo? I mean, because we know, for example, that si Tim Orbos, who is the convener of this group, used to head the entire volunteer operations for the campaign team. How many people are we talking about? Would you know exactly the size of the people who are leaving your camp and moving to the Robredo camp?
Right now, we are doing an inventory, and in fact, tomorrow, if I understand it right, there will be a meeting here in the HQ of Mayor Isko Moreno for the non-defectors, so to speak, or the loyalists, no, who will be expressing their opinions separate from the opinions of the group of Team Orbos and company. No? Of course, from an optics viewpoint, it does not look good, honestly. No? And, but that is optics. No? Ang question dyan is, gaano ba karami ang susunod sa kanila? Number one. Number two, how much of an impact will this make, considering that Mayor Isko is also gaining more adherents as the days pass by, from different other camps.
Can you tell us more about that? Like, where is he gaining from? Who are these groups?
Well, based on our surveys, lumalakas siya. Unang-una, halos nabawi na niyang NCR from Ferdinand Marcos Jr. lumalakas siya lalo sa southern Tagalog, no? I mean the Calabarzon area, not to include Bicol, of course. That's understandably Lenny Robredo territory, no? And in provinces in the Central Luzon and Cagayan Valley regions, no? So we feel na ganun din sa Visayas, no? We still have to do Panay, no? We're doing that, I think, 2 weeks from now, almost one entire week in the Visayas, no? So we expect that we're also doing Northern Mindanao, by the way, next the week after Holy Week, no? So we expect our numbers to grow considerably.
What would you say? Because earlier in the press conference, the people in the press conference in Elmer Arganio, Tim Orbos, the reasons they were citing for leaving was more of the overarching urgency of preventing a Marcos presidency. And they were asked, "Di ba kayo political butterfly balimbing kasi you're switching sides like in the middle of the battle?" And then they said, "We accept that accusation, but at the same time daw, the game is bigger than Isko Moreno. The bigger picture is to prevent like a Marcos presidency from happening." What would you say to that?
That's what in fairness to them, that's how they explained it to me, no? They
Mm.
want to prevent the Marcos presidency. Pero para nga sa amin, paulit-ulit namin sinasabi, it's not about Marcos or Lenny. It's not about the reds or the yellows. It's about people, no? Ano ba ino-offer natin sa people? So anong nangyayari dito? Pinagsasabong nila yung ang panawagan pagkakaisa at yung isang grupo na ang panawagan huwag makiisa dun sa nagsasabi ng pagkakaisa. So, what kind of unity will we have if we keep, polarizing the country between one group and another group instead of looking for a middle ground, which is neither enemy of Marcos nor enemy of Robredo, and is looking only at what solutions we can give given the crisis, very clearly, the crisis that this nation, especially the poor people, no, the poor and the middle class, are facing now and in the years to come.
Mm. There were also he was also implying things like the national campaign team wasn't able to keep volunteers happy. Hindi niya raw maximize sila. He even used the word na nakatunganga lang daw yung ibang volunteers ng IM Pilipinas. And that maybe influenced or factored into their decision to switch sides. Is this true? Na hindi, in what sense hindi na maximize? Do you agree with that observation or assessment?
Kaya sila tinatawag na volunteers hindi ba? They're supposed to volunteer their efforts. Hindi yung kung gusto nila ma-maximize, di ba sila dapat ang kumilos para ma-maximize sila? Number one. Number two, eto mabuti tapatan na tayo, no? I mean, might as well, these same people, these same groups, no? Were the ones who, at one point in time, sinuggest nila na kasi malakas sa Mindanao si Inday Sara Duterte na magkaroon ng isa, no, doon sa lugar na mas makatutulong si Sara Duterte. I mean, or an isa tandem. On the other hand, si Mayor Isko, although yun na nga, there was a time when ako na nag-suggest kay Doc Willie na huwag na lang pumunta doon sa Maguindanao kasi I didn't want to put him in an embarrassing situation where the place was plastered by Isa or Isko Sara tarpaulins, no, and propaganda materials. But si Isko Moreno has always been saying, has publicly stated na iisa ang kanyang vice presidential candidate at yun ay si Doc Willie at sana huwag silang paghiwalayin, no? Then some of these groups, again, some of these, shall we call them defectors, no? At one point also suggested an Isko Soto tandem. Kasi nung parang hindi nagpa-pan out yung isa masyado, especially here in Luzon, some of them were suggesting an Isko Soto tandem, no? I mean, parang pag-aralan yung ganon, no? But I knew for a fact na una, hindi naman talaga, knowing Ping Lacson personally, hindi naman talaga aatras si Ping Lacson. So what was the point, no? We have nothing against Tito Soto in the same way that we have nothing against Ping Lacson. Pero yan yung ganun nga no? Parang sa akin, yung talks of unification based on survey numbers, wala nang pagkakatunguhan yan Too late in the day. Dapat, kung sincero yung pag-uusap tungkol sa unification before the filing of certificates of candidacy, di sana meron nang nangyari noon. Pero ngayon, too late, no? I'd like to advert, for instance, no? Kaya nyo sinasabi na matagal na ako dito sa politikang ito. In 2004, I was for Ping Lacson, di ba? Despite the fact that the strongest candidates at that time were the incumbent, GMA, and the king of Philippine movies, FPJ. And there were a lot of moves for Ping Lacson to give way to FPJ. At that time, there were talks. Initiated by several groups for Ping Lacson and Raul Roco, the late Senator Raul Roco, to join together as a third force. And those talks prospered. In fact, I was in the thick of it together with late former governor of Cebu, Lito Banayo, who died, I think, last year only, or the year, or during the COVID, anyway, the COVID pandemic. And it was progressing quite well. But just to show you the nobility of character of Raul Roco, he honestly confessed to us, before the public even knew it, he honestly confessed to Lito Banayo, who I was in Cebu at that time. I was waiting for developments because Raul Roco was in Panglao, in Bohol, no? At that time, because his wife is from Bohol. He was very forthright in saying, huwag na natin ituloy because medyo masama na yung kanyang pakiramdam. I mean, he had health problems at medyo masama na yung kanyang pakiramdam. Parang medyo advanced na yung stage ng kanyang health issue, no? So he was very forthright, he was very honest about it. And sabi niya, huwag na lang natin ituloy. Let's just finish the game, the fight, no? Ganon.
So what are you saying, Ambassador Lito? When you mentioned that this I Am Pilipinas, this group of Team Orbos was for Isa, they were for Isko Soto. What are you saying about them? Like, why bring that up?
No. The point is very clear, I think. They want to win. I mean, it's of course, politics is really like that naman no? Kaya nga sabi ko, naiintindihan ko because especially in this country, the presidency is a winner-take-all game, no? So they want to win. Okay lang, no? Ganun talaga no? Kami naman, hindi naman kami nawawala ng pag-asa na mananalo rin kami, no? And so therefore, wag na nating pag-usapan yung mga unity talks ngayon because it's too late for that, no? Quite late in the day for that.
Are you saying that no matter what happens, like let's say, what if the worst case scenario happens that your local government allies decide to switch support also? Will that mean that withdrawal is possible, or it's really off the table no matter what?
It's definitely off the table. Like ngayon, for instance, just this morning, One Cebu made an announcement. I think you know about that. Many of the mayors comprising the One Cebu party prevailed upon Governor Gwen Garcia to support the Marcos-Sara tandem. Actually, the Marcos tandem, because they already supported the Sara tandem before. No? I mean, made an announcement on that. But because of that, Congressman Pablo Jan Garcia issued a press statement that he has resigned from the One Cebu party as its Secretary General because he will continue to support Mayor Isko Moreno all the way. No? So, ganun yun meron talagang ganun talaga ang politika dito sa ating bansa precisely because the 1987 Constitution came up with a political system that is both confused and confusing. Now we've suffered for the last 30 years or so because of this political system engendered by a constitution that was hastily written and is not attuned with the culture as well as the needs of the Filipino people.
Are there feelers right now or people who are approaching you, maybe Mayor Isko, to just talk about the possibility of switching or unifying against Marcos that have prospered or have at least reached Mayor Moreno's ears?
Sa pagkakaalam ko sila lang, sila Tim Orbos and the others, no. Those who know me better know me well enough to know na hindi ako nagpapalit. No? I mean, even when Ping Lacson, for instance, was a distant number three to President GMA and the late FPJ, I stuck it out with, and you know how close I was to the supporters of FPJ, no less than President Joseph Estrada, of which I was the political advisor and the GM of the Philippine Tourism Authority. But I did not switch. No, I kept the faith because I
Mm.
believed in Ping Lacson in 2004.
Mhm. Just to return to the point of the I Am Pilipinas persons who spoke earlier at the press con, when they said that ano yun, they wanted daw to be more active, but it seemed that the national campaign team was shutting down some of their proposals, and so parang may dissatisfaction there. You weren't able to keep them happy. I mean, where's this coming from? Like, do you know what they're talking about? What exactly proposals did you shut
Uh,
down? Why?
I did not shut down anything. No, I did not shut down any of their proposals. No. But some of those proposals, as far as I know, require resources which, to our mind, we either could not produce or we thought could be better. I mean, put to better use. No.
In what
Uh,
sense better use?
well, ayoko magsalita, Pia, ng ano no, ng tungkol sa ganyan, no, sa resources, no. I wouldn't want to put anybody in a bad light, no. So let's keep it at that, no. If they were not happy, in the same sense naman, wala tayong magagawa. Ganyan talaga ang politika, di ba? Some are happy, some find the reason not to be happy. Fine, ganun talaga.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What would you tell if you were to be able to speak right now to ISCO volunteers watching and maybe confused about the developments with IM Pilipinas? What would you tell them about how the campaign team is going and how ISCO Moreno is? I'm sure they're concerned, like, because he's backed in a corner. They're concerned, siguro, for his like his morale. I mean, what would you tell them to reassure them if ever?
Well, the morale is quite high. Isko Moreno is a fighter. Remember that he came from the most humble of beginnings. This is not a person who would give up. No, and so to our supporters, keep the faith. No, as I keep saying, meron naman Diyos eh. No, eh, at the end of the day, may awa ang Diyos. No, at we will continue the fight. Isko Moreno's personal attitude is tuloy-tuloy tayo, no? At pinaglalaban natin tao. So, pag-isipan din ninyo kung ano ang pinaglalaban ng dalawang paksyon as against yung pinaglalaban natin, which is magkaroon naman ng pag-angat sa buhay yung mga kulang sa buhay dahil dito sa krisis na ating hinaharap.
What steps will you take now? You mentioned nga na mukhang bad optics yung nangyari kanina. But then, so how do you recover from that? What is the next step forward for the campaign team, given only over 20 days remain till election day?
Well, rally the troops, no? Rally those who remain with us, and they are more than the people who have recently defected to Vice President Leni Robredo, no? And there will be developments in the next few days, the next few weeks, no, which will propel Isko Moreno further up in this contest.
Developments like endorsements, is that what you mean?
No, no. ayoko mag-preempt ng mga mangyayari, no? Pero may mga mangyayari pa in the next few weeks.
Mhm. Okay, and how about in terms of yung si Willie Ong, because yun nga, the group naman earlier was saying na ngayon baka Lenny Kiko na yung I Am Lenny group. I mean, what do you think this says about how also do you plan to help Willie Ong in his fight?
Well, we are together in this fight, no? Yung Lenny Kiko nga nagkaroon na rin. I mean, it's I think it's symptomatic of the malaise that Philippine politics is experiencing, no? Merong Rosa. I think yung mga nag-defect ngayon na yan, ang ipopropose nila is Robredo Sara, no? Meron ding meron ding grupo na di ba yung sinabi ni Ping Lacson, ni Senator Lacson na pinopropose na mag-withdraw siya so that they can have a they will ask Kiko to withdraw and have a Robredo Soto. I don't know how you yung Rosa kasi madali maalala pero hindi ko alam paano acronym nung Robredo Soto, no, how you would put it, no. So maraming ganyan no. Maraming ganyang nangyayari na so basta kami, pirmis lang kami. We believe in our team, we believe in the candidates, and we will continue the fight.
Did you find the need to call up your allies just to check if how they're doing?
We trust them. No? So kaya nga bukas yung mga volunteer groups that are with us, we've been calling them. Some of them who are nearby will be coming over to the headquarters. Some will probably participate via Zoom.
Mm-hmm. And last question na siguro, Ambassador Lito, but since election day is very near and we know that part of the battle is really mobilizing volunteers to go to the polling precincts and casting their vote for your candidate, how are you making sure that despite this loss in volunteers, you will still have that on-the-ground presence to make sure that mobilization on D-Day happens?
Well, unang-una, yung mga nawala, di papalitan mo ng iba, no? Hindi naman porket nawala yung leader, nawala rin yung lahat ng followers niya, no? Hindi naman ganoon ang nangyayari. Pangalawa, one has to remember that the elections are not like previous elections prior to 2010 where handwritten ang mga boto, di ba? Ngayon, you feed it through a machine, no? Yung instant ngayon hindi pareho dati na nagtatagal ang bilangan. I'm sorry. Yung mga bilangan, di ba? Ngayon mabilis na ang resulta, lumalabas na kaagad almost on real time. So that by May 10 more or less, meron ka na idea kung anong trend, no? Or early May 10 as happened in 2016 and even in 2010.
So you don't think you need those volunteers on the ground? Is that really wise given, I mean, hindi naman not to say na may dayaan, but more of to make sure that your supporters actually get the vote. I mean, that's the point, right?
Yeah. Kailangan mo. Kaya
ganun pa
kasabi
rin.
ko, kung nawala yung iba, edi palitan naman ang iba.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Ambassador Lito Banayo, for joining us and for giving us your reaction to the developments in Isko Moreno's candidacy. Rest assured, we will continue to cover the campaign and report to our viewers what is happening for them to make a wise decision on May 9. So once again, I'm Pia Renada, and to our viewers, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.
Maraming salamat, Pia.